Good morning, everybody. Hopefully, you had a wonderful night of sleep. My name is Brian Mitchell. I'm a chemical engineer and a stock options trader looking to help you make more money. We're going to jump right into the video, and today we will be analyzing the stock market and setting up our trades. So, on the weekly chart, I have already broken down for this week that we are seeing some bullish activities in the market. So I'm going to zoom in to where we currently are. Now, if we look at the previous week, we see if we look at the previous week high and the previous week low, let's mark those out on our chart. We can see that price is approaching that high and it looks like it may sweep it. Now, important thing to note is that if we look at the bottom of this red candle and the top of this red candle, we do have an imbalance in the market. Okay. So I'm going to drag that over. All right. And this will be a magnet for price, and price will likely hunt this in the days to come. So another key target we have right here is this daily highs candle. So we'll mark this as 1 day reaction. All right. And this is just to show me where our strong reactions are, right? As an options trader, if the market is going up, okay, and we have some type of zone, if we're going to take a trade up to that zone, we want to be out before it gets to that zone. We want to be out of our full position before it gets to that zone because we could have a strong reaction, which will kill our options trade. Now we can scale out most of our position and then leave some runners, of course. But a general rule of thumb is that you want to be aware of those higher time frame reaction areas for targets. You also want to be aware of those higher time frame reaction areas for potential entries. If we were going to look for a puts trade, as soon as price got in here, we would look for a quick puts trade to the downside. We're not targeting all the way down here necessarily. Whoops, sorry. We're not targeting all the way down here necessarily. Okay. We're just looking for a very quick $1 to $2 move, which will help us capitalize and make a decent amount of money trading options. So if I jump down to a daily chart, we can see that the previous day's high was broken. So I'm still going to mark that on my chart because it's an area that price could come trade back to. Remember, we can use higher time frame reaction areas as entries or exits. And so if price trades back down here, we could potentially take a trade into that imbalance. All right. So now that I have that marked out, I'll also mark out the daily low. Even though this was broken, I may change this, or even though price doesn't look like it's going to get there, still good to be aware that whole range is the daily candle. So a little setup that I like to trade is called a pre-market demand. So if price sweeps this and has a tendency to come back down here, that would be a very, very easy trade that we can take. We would just take a setup into here and then take it into that imbalance. Another thing that we can do is we can just wait for price to trade into here. If it doesn't come back down, see how it reacts and then catch a reaction again to break a high. We would enter on this low and then continue to trade with the market trend. Okay. So that's the analysis for SPY. That's what I'm looking for this morning. Um, we're also going to look at a couple other stocks on my watch list. All of these stocks are going to touch the same sector of the market. So they're all going to move very similarly. And so I want to be aware of how all of these are moving so that I can take the most ideal trade. Another thing you want to do is check for news daily. I use that by using the SPX 500 USD. Type this in exactly how you see it, and you'll be able to see news on TradingView. So we see U.S. futures are rallying, and NVIDIA, we talked about this as well. NVIDIA was potentially going to gap up because of earnings, which we did see. Some other news we have today is GDP growth rate at 730. So none of these news events are occurring at market open when we're going to be trading. So we're fine. I'm going to jump back to, I believe it was Apple, because I kind of liked what I saw there. If I jump back to a weekly chart on Apple, we can see that we took out the previous day's candle, okay? And our prediction was right. We were thinking that price was going to, if since price was lower, people were going to start buying and push price higher, which we do see that trend occurring. Now, another important thing is that we have an imbalance at the bottom of this candle and the top of that green candle. So I'm going to drag that over and we see price does fill that imbalance. So I'm going to also draw a line here at the low of that green candle because that is a reaction area a daily reaction area or a weekly reaction area actually in the chart. So I'm going to denote that as a 1 week reaction area. Okay. Alrighty. And then once we drop down to smaller time frames, most likely what I'm going to see is price is going to touch this in the morning, have maybe a rejection to maybe possibly this red candle, and then we would take a trade up to the weekly. We do see some chop in here. If I drop down to like maybe a 4 hour or a 1 hour, we can see that that's very, very weak price action. And so since that is weak price action, that'd be good targets to target. So sentiment this morning is that we're going to be looking for some retracements for some call setups. If we don't see those retracements, we will adjust accordingly to how the market is operating. Remember, these are just potential price movements. These are not the actual price movements. We will take our trade based on the open, and the open will determine what actions we take. So don't take these as gospel. These are just indications of where price could react and price could go. The thing that you need to be worried about the most is these higher time frame reaction areas and what you should be doing when you're away from those reaction areas. Thank you. Hopefully you make some money from these analysis today, and I will see you guys later today for the post market analysis.